I'm going to be talking about Proposition 8, the economy, and the effect it has on society. Okay, so I'm going to start off with a couple of questions. How many of you guys voted in the past election? Okay. And how many of you guys actually took the time to investigate either the proposition or the presidential candidate you guys voted for? Alright. So, according to an online journal, American Thinker, only about 3/4 of the population went into further research apart from what was seen and or heard on television ads. This statistic allows me to present my main proposal, which is a repeal of Proposition 8 will greatly benefit the economy. We all know or heard in some way or another something about Proposition 8. So what exactly is Proposition 8 and what does it have to do with the economy? Well, right off the bat, probably no one can think of any reason, and that's why maybe due to lack of research. According to an article by Richard Nate in policy.net.net, Proposition 8 is an amendment to the Constitution of California defining marriage as being between a man and a woman. The following are 3 subtopics which will hopefully help me convince you. 1. If Proposition 8 is repealed from the Constitution, millions of dollars will begin to generate from recent marriages and their expenses. 2nd, thousands of jobs will be created. And 3rd, it will contribute to less tax augmentations by the state. Talking about my first secondary claim, gay marriage is an extremely important section of the economy and can bring in millions of dollars each year. If gay marriage is accepted, it will consist of one or more of the following expenses. First of all, if they get married, they have to pay a fee for their marriage license. If they decide to start a family, adoption is always there. It's always an option, and all the paperwork will obviously also have a fee. If they decide to start renting a home and creating their family there, homes would also boost up in people trying to buy them. And finally, it would be miscellaneous purchases for themselves as a couple and for the child, such as clothing, food, and maybe eventually college expenses. For my secondary claim, which is thousands of jobs will be created. According to Forbes magazine, they estimated that same-sex couples would expand this sector for wedding planners and celebration designers and their affiliates, and predict that same-sex weddings could become $1 million per year industry. One estimate states that same-sex marriage could result in $683.6 million in additional spending on weddings and tourism, and the creation of over 2,000 new jobs, such as daycare systems if they both decide to work and someone has to take care of their kids. My third secondary claim, which is it will contribute to less tax augmentations by the state. According to the online journal Money and Proposition 8, they stated, the wedding industry is an extremely lucrative sector of the economy. It creates jobs, sells goods and services, and consequently generates a significant amount of government revenue. This is especially true in California, where sales tax is high, at 8.25%. This past voting time period, U.S. citizens were too concerned with social issues more than with the state's economic crisis. The Proposition 8 referendum campaign focused primarily on the morality of same-sex marriage while neglecting the financial implications of its passage. Given the importance of the economy at the time of the 2008 elections, opponents of Proposition 8 may have been more successful had they emphasized the positive economic impact of same-sex marriage on the California economy. In conclusion, Proposition 8 campaign ads failed to emphasize the fiscal benefits of same-sex marriage, leaving voters underinformed about the initiative's economic implications. Let's remember that for next elections, but as for right now, let's not stop the fight against Proposition 8. Leave our egocentric, discriminatory minds aside, and let's focus on what is best for everyone, the country's economic status.
All right. right, the proposition is clearly identified. It's going to be about economic issues. The signposting is okay, although I'm not sure that there's a substantial differentiation between a couple of the points. You can provide enough background information so that we know that there's obviously some controversy on this particular point. Your proof on the first point is all hypothetical material, and a lot of it is not unique. People can do all of these things and not have to get married. You don't have to be married to buy a house. You don't have to be married to live together. You don't have to be married to. You don't even have to be married to adopt in most circumstances. Although in California, I'm not exactly sure what the rules are on that. If there are adoption fees and that's going to generate some income, then I think you might have an argument there. The notion that, and the same sort of thing, for instance, on all the other stuff associated with getting married. If you want to have a party and print invitations and all those kinds of things, you don't need to have a legal marriage to do all that. People do it every year at Mardi Gras down in New Orleans. You know, they do all kinds of wild stuff, and they don't have to have a license to do so. So I'm not exactly sure why that's a unique argument. I like the idea of the argument that there might be some generated income because of tourism, and will draw all kinds of people here because this is then the place that they would come in order to be able to do this particular thing. The quantification on that is a little vague, but you did have a quote on that. That was the one place where I thought your evidence was most specific. And then we're back to the same kind of thing on the third point. The daycare argument. If you've got, for instance, if a gay couple has kids acquired either through adoption or from a previous relationship, why do they have to be married in order to get daycare and pay for that? That's not clear to me why that's an economic advantage. The arguments have to be unique to the proposition that you're talking about, and you're just talking about what the general economic consequences are for people who might be living together or developing families, that kind of thing, not necessarily because of marriage. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody being ready to